And we are back. Thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining, well, you are on time for the first conversation of the day. And today we want to talk about a topic that has been making news for the past few days over the weekend, and that is on learners' safety. This is because of the incidences that have happened at Hillside and Russia School, where we have lost 21 students currently, and some have not been accounted for. We've also had incidences in two other schools where there has been a fire. That is Isiolo Girls and Njia Boys. We are yet to get informed on whether there's any incident of students being hurt. But with that, we want to have a conversation with a teacher. He's a teacher. This is Gilbert Mosonye. He teaches at Nairobi Upper Hill Academy. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much for the show. Yeah, actually, learner safety is an integral and indispensable component of learning that cannot be ignored in any way. So for any learning to take place, there must be the safety of the learners. Okay. The minors should be given a priority, or else these things that we are seeing will continue happening, the death, the trauma, psychological trauma of the minors. So this thing has been happening for a long time, and the reason is that we are not taking action against them. So the question is, who is supposed to be blamed for this?
Yes, so that's a good question.
Yeah.
And it's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Because we know that there are guidelines on learner safety.
True.
They're there. They have not been implemented because as we were discussing with my co-host earlier on, some of the things that were mentioned, and I'll just repeat it, by a parent who had one of, her child surviving that particular incident. She was saying, tunaweza taka wasiweke wanafunzi wengi pamoja bweni ziwe kadhaa kwa sababu the dormitory was hosting a lot of students, and the beds were very close to each other. Some beds were wood, and they also had a barricade between some beds, which was made of wood, of course, and this only accelerates a cardboard separating the sleeping area, which was made of wood, and this was hosting students from grade 8 all the way from grade 5 all the way to grade 8. So that was a problem. But the good thing is that they had 3 doors, and I know that's a requirement. At least that was met. But on this other, the beds were three-decker. Bed instead of 2. And now the spacing was not enough, and it was hosting so many people. So that's a problem that was there. And in other schools, currently it's still a problem. So who's to blame for this?
Yeah, actually, it's a two-way traffic, either the school or the Ministry of Education. As you know very well that the Ministry of Education have set out guidelines on what should be done in regards to learner safety. But then this is not followed. For example, concerning the dormitory, we have been told that the space should be about 1.2 meters for the corridors, between one bed to another. Then for the corridors should be 2 meters, right? Then the doors should be 5 feet wide and should be open outwards, right? And then the structures, like the walls, should be permanent, not wooden. So what we saw, like in the Russia, the Hillside School, the walls were wooden, as you said. And then this could foster, this encouraged fueled the burning of the dormitory. So it means that when they were checking this school, when the Ministry of Education officers, when they were inspecting the school, they didn't consider that. Maybe again they were overpopulated. 156 pupils in a dormitory, that's a large number. and mark you that these are minors. Yeah, they were between 9 to 13 years old. Yeah, so such kind of pupils, you know, they are still young. They cannot think very fast what's supposed to be done because of the population. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just read some of the things on school fire safety preparedness that are there that have probably not been implemented in many schools. So I understand that some schools had windows reinforced with metal grids, and this is some of the problems. And some schools had only one door at the dormitory, and this is from the Auditor General report on schools, right? And then the dormitory required to have doors at both ends. They also say that 30 out of 40 sampled schools exceeded the number of pupils stated in the registration certificate, with the highest school having an excess of 519 students. So this is an excess of, as you know, from what is stated in the registration certificate. So this, the government, the ministry doesn't know about. And then 29 schools had classes with more than 45 students, contrary to regulation. So regulation should have that. A class should have a maximum of 45 students. Okay. And now the audit also revealed that 6 schools had triple-decker beds now instead of double-decker beds. Ministry of Education only approved double-decker beds. Schools flouted the spacing requirement of pathway space of 2 meters in dormitories. And then 34 boarding schools had double-decker beds with wrong spacing. And most dormitories were congested, as this one of Hillside. The situation escalated with the government's 100% transition policy. So now this is where I want to ask you the question, because the requirement is that a class should have a maximum of 45 students, right? But the government passed the policy, the transition 100% transition policy. So the schools will get a number exceeding the requirement that they're supposed to get. So in such a situation, then how are they supposed to handle it? Because that's where we get that the dormitories are having excesses, because maybe the school can't afford to build an extra dormitory. Is this the mandate of the school to build an extra dormitory to accommodate the other students, or is it the ministry that's supposed to work on that if they have sent excesses to the schools?
This one has to do with either private school or and public schools. You know, with the government 100% transition to public school, like the school are overcrowded. So it's the purpose of the Ministry of Education to go on the ground to check if the school has enough infrastructure or not. Okay. Then concerning the private school, it's the duty of the school to build more dormitories. It's not just about money. You know, the problem with the private school is a business-oriented institution, So what they want is just money, They don't care about congestion. You can see some of the schools had even triple beds, So it's their duty, not just taking pupils, but also consider, do they have enough facilities to hold this? Then the Ministry of Education should foster this, go on the ground, ensure that the guidelines have been followed without any corruption. You know, the problem is corruption, So you find that the school is congested, does not have facilities, and it's just being approved to continue. So this one should be followed, should be taken care of by both parties, either the government and the school. So what is the place of the Quality Assurance Directorate, as you said, because they have the mandate of inspecting the schools. So once they inspect the schools and they find out that there's some wrong, you know, it's like the research that was done, if the dormitories are not spaced out, then what happens after that?
does it just become a research? Is action supposed to be taken? Who is supposed to take this action?
Now, if they find the school is not meeting these standards, the health standard is not only like, it's not only infrastructure only. We have to look even in health standards. Does it have enough toilets or not? They should disapprove it, yeah? But that's not what is happening, yeah? We have seen it. The schools are lacking these things, and they go on approving the school, okay?
Yeah.
So the action should be taken against these schools that are not implementing these guidelines that have been set out without any biasness or so, yeah? Yeah, that's what should be done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there shouldn't be biasness or corruption at any point in time. They're supposed to carry out their mandate as supposed to.
Yeah.
Now, what the let me just read it. What the KUPPET Secretary General was saying is the time has come for Kenyans to rethink the place of boarding schools in this country. Yeah. The government should spend more time, more resources rather, on the Quality Assurance Directorate to enhance inspection and compliance in school. So what this suggests is, again, the government has not does not allocate enough resources for this particular directorate to inspect schools. But what resources do they need to inspect schools if that is their mandate? And that is one question. And then now the question on the government for Kenyans to rethink the place of boarding schools in this country. Now, could it be suggesting that looking at the CBC and what is going to be agreed upon, should it not be boarding schools, as the grade 8 learners transitions to grade 9, the government, the parents consider having day schools instead of boarding schools? So those are two things.
Yeah, there was discussion like that, like abolishing the boarding schools, yeah? But there are some factors to be taken first. Like, before a parent takes a child to a boarding school, what has made him or her to go to take the child, yeah? But then, at what age, the question is, at what age are you supposed to take this child to a boarding school? We cannot abolish boarding school completely, but then, at what age should a child be taken to a boarding school? We have seen parents taking pupils to a boarding school at very young age, like even 7 years. Grade 3 pupils in boarding school, grade 4. You see, the question is, at what age should we take this child? Yeah, some are not even responsible, like they cannot take care of themselves. Yeah, I think the guidelines should be set for the pupils to, like, what times are they supposed to go to boarding school, or in which grade are they supposed to board, like they had said. But we cannot do away with boarding school. I don't think we can do away with boarding school completely. Because,
why? What is the reason behind us not abolishing boarding schools?
Like concerning some parents, you may find some parents are very busy. Some even arrive home as late as 11 p.m. And you find that nobody is able to take care of these children at home. Yeah. So there's a need for them to go to, if the parents is to take them to boarding school. Yeah. Okay. The other factors, maybe, such kind of, it makes the parent to take them.
It is a bit convenient for the parent, especially if they're not, they're coming from a humble background, because now with boarding, the advantage is that the children have a better environment to learn, because they're being provided for the meals and good conducive environment, right? Yeah. So that's the advantage of boarding schools.
It's true.
The disadvantage would be things like such incidences, but which can be handled. Now, to the quality assurance issue, that more resources need to be allocated to this particular directorate. Do you think that is the case? Should the government allocate more resources to this directorate?
Yeah, it's true. the government, I don't know even if they are still existing. Yeah, the government should make sure that it has provided enough resources to support these quality assurance people, to foster the guidelines that they have set. Otherwise, the school will continue behaving the same. The problem is the resources are not there. Like, some schools cannot be reached because they are far. You see, the quality assurance people cannot reach there. So it's the duty of the government to provide things like transport, so to make sure that these quality assurance people are going there and they are giving reports to the Ministry of Education every now and then on what is happening on the ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is an important thing that they need to consider when we're looking at tackling this particular issue.
True.
So let's talk about the emergency response, because when the fire at Endarasha took place, it took a lot of time first before the fire, how do you call them? The fire extinguishers came. Yeah. Mostly because of the terrain of the place, but it also took a lot of time. And then when they came, they requested for backup because it was not enough, you know, and that forced the locals to come and try to put out the fire. And this is not one of the cases. This is just one of the cases that we have seen. Yeah. What does that say about our emergency response? In the emergency response in our country, what should be done, especially when it comes to cases of school fires?
Okay, I think when it comes to school fires, one of the things is that, as I said, the school should create an emergency action plan in case of a fire. For example, it should first train its staff on fire incident, how to deal with fire incident first, right? Like I was reading that report, it just said that the matron who was in the dorm had to go and call the teachers who were staying there to come to help, you see. It means they had little knowledge about how to deal with this circumstance. Yeah. So the school should come up with the emergency plan, as I said. It's a very either to train the staff, even the children, on what should be done to respond to emergency, okay, in case of a fire, before even we go to fire extinguishers. Yeah.
How they can contain it before it accelerates.
Yeah, before it accelerates. Then the school should also equip, should have the fire equipment, right?
Fire extinguishers.
The fire extinguishers. It should label clearly where the children should run in case of fire. Fire exit points, fire assembly points, right? To avoid that commotion here and there when the children are in case of a fire. Yeah. And then in terms of this fire extinguisher, I think lack of enough facilities is the one that is causing a problem. Yeah. I saw in Nairobi when there was fire, in which market was that? Was it Toi Market? Yeah, you find that the fire extinguisher equipment were not enough. The lorries had gone to put off fire in another place. So by the time they're coming here, it's already worse. Yeah. So there should be enough of this, at least one per sub-county, enough of this fire, the lorries and so on. At least one per sub-county. The county government should ensure this.
One per sub-county as the bare minimum.
Yeah, that could be the bare minimum.
Okay, because it's quite unfortunate when the fire extinguishers are not able to put out the fire, yet they're there. It only makes the situation look even more desperate, you know. Now, apart from that, when we're still looking at learners' safety, there are situations where we've had students die in school. Either in primary, there's a latest incident where a child was forced to go to do an activity, a school activity, and he died. You know, we've had cases in high schools where the teacher maybe, you know, violently, you know, beats a child up until they succumbed, you know. Maybe they slept and woke up, but, you know, people find they're gone. Different incidences where learners have been found to in latrines, such terrible cases. Some have died in swimming pools, They're just gone for swimming, maybe they did not know how to swim, and they died. And this is all part of learners' safety. So what needs to be done in this area? What is your take on that?
Okay, I think the school should educate its staff, like during opening staff meeting of every term, should educate its staff on how to deal with fire safety of the child. Identify the areas that might be hazardous to these pupils, label them clearly, come up with something like, maybe come up with a teacher who is dealing with safety of the school, to report every week to the school admin on what happened to pupils when they are at school in case of any danger. Guide the learners, the places that may be hazardous or dangerous to them, tell them that what should be done, and educate them, just educate the children on their safety. Things to do with pits, pupils falling in the pit. Sometimes I saw a child was knocked by a school bus, you see? Yeah, because of the safety. This is the lack of safety that the school is not giving the staff. They should come up with a manual on how to protect the child and educate the child on what they should do and the places that they should avoid when they are playing. And then the school should come up with look at these places, like the field. Maybe the field has potholes. These pit, you see. They should cover them up and maybe fence the area.
Okay. So the school needs to train their staff on how to handle learner safety. It needs to ensure that the environment is safe for learners, the grounds, and they have also guidelines to guide the learners on how to engage while they're outside the class. What about now the incidences where teachers go overboard in disciplining students, and this is especially in high schools, but also primary. We've had cases where teachers were overly overboard when they were disciplining the child, to an extent of beating them on their head, and areas that are very dangerous and sensitive, which ends to the learner's death, which is quite unfortunate for the family, because now when the parent takes their children to school, say boarding, they entrust that the teachers are taking care of their children.
It's true. Now, when a teacher is employed by TSC, he is always given a TSC Act, right? And one of these TSC Act, the law states that every child has a right to be protected from abuse, neglect, harmful cultural practices, all form of violence, inhuman treatment, and punishment. So if you find a teacher is going against this, punishing and maybe harassing the child, mistreating the child, I think is going against the TSC Act, and the repercussion is clear that if you do this, one, you will be sacked, and necessary actions will be taken against you. The law will be taken against you. So the teacher should follow what the TSC Act done. So there are other means of administering punishment to learners without actually inflicting pain on their bodies, right? So the school should come up with this, like how to administer punishment in case a child has done a mistake. Apart from this, it should set up things like a department of guiding and counseling learners who are hyper in school, right? To guide these learners together with other stakeholders like the parents. Call the parent, tell the child, the parents how the child is behaving at school, instead of administering this punishment that are harsh, we call them corporal punishment. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And still on learners' safety,
Yeah.
but a bit on the mental health side,
Yeah.
because for one, with the Endarasha fire, we know at least that it was caused by an electric fault, you know, and that was beyond, that was not, that was something that maybe we could say is out of anyone's hands, really. But there are cases where some fires are caused by arson, and especially in high schools, secondary schools, where learners just decide to burn a dormitory because they feel they have been suppressed or they're depressed or something around that. Now, how can the school work on eliminating that? Because that has been there over the years. Even myself, when I was in high school, we had cases. You would be in school, you know, you hear some neighboring school or some school that you know has caused a fire because they want to go home or something of that sort. So how do you handle that as a school?
I think one of the things that cause this is that the school admin does not give an ear to pupils' demands, right? Yeah, like they ignore what the children want, right? So the best thing is to collect information like what do these pupils want, have some meeting with these pupils, regular meetings, either from a class level or in the entire school, listen to their grievances, what they think is not going well, they note it down before it worsens, right? And look for a solution on how to guide these pupils in the best way to avoid this incident of pupils burning fire schools and so on.
Okay.
So they should give an ear to the children through meetings and so on.
Okay, great. What have you done where you are as a teacher in your school? What has your school implemented to ensure learners' safety? If you're able to, if you're okay to answer that.
Learner safety. One of the things is we normally have training of the staff. Like there's a time we were trained by Kenya Safety. The Kenya Safety people came. They trained us on how to deal with fire, right? Sometimes we normally there's a time we had the first aid office, and sometimes we normally have this first aid session whereby we train children how to administer first aid in case the children have been they are playing and the teacher is not around, right? How to administer first aid to their colleagues, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Areas we have identified clearly labeled in the fire exit points in case of fire. There is fire extinguishers in the school. So I think we are prepared well. Yeah.
All right. So you're well prepared for that.
Yeah.
And the clubs that are usually there, because I know we have clubs like the, I'm forgetting the clubs that I was in. Is it the Red Cross?
Yeah, Red Cross. Yeah.
Yeah. Such like clubs in schools. How important is it to have learners joining them and even impacting the same knowledge to other learners?
It's very, very vital to have such kind of clubs, by the way. Yeah, because the clubs, they'll give the learners skills, as you had said. The skills will be very important in case of any danger. The children will be able to deal with it. Even the scouts, normally see them, the scouts training how to deal with any danger that affect the other ones. Yeah. So it's very important to have such kind of clubs in school and train the children on how to deal with any situation that may emerge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So these clubs are very necessary, and schools need to
Yeah.
invest in learners that are there, because clubs can also be there, but they can be very inactive because they don't receive support
True.
from the administration.
True.
So it's very important, right?
True. Yeah.
Okay, so as we come to a close on this particular conversation,
Yeah.
what more would you say needs to be done? Give us that as your closing remarks, and any other thing that you'd want to say.
Okay, actually, we need to invest more in learner safety. Actually, what we are seeing in the news, television, we should learn before it gets back to us. You see, this is something that is inevitable. We cannot predict. Today is in your school, another day it will be in our school. So we should learn from what we are seeing. Let's not wait until it reaches us.
Okay.
Yeah. Prepare learners, educate your staff. The school should educate their staff on how to deal with these emergencies that are happening. Both teaching and non-teaching staff. Even fire can start in the kitchen. Yeah, you should train everyone. Every stakeholder should be aware of how to deal with an emergency in case there's a fire outbreak or any child safety, anything concerning the child, the safety of a child. Okay. Because it's a priority. Yeah.
So everyone needs to learn about it.
Yeah, everyone needs to know about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you okay sharing your social handles in case someone wants to reach out to you?
Yeah, my social handle is #Gilbert Mosonye on all social media. Yeah.
Gilbert Mosonye.
Yeah.
Across all social platforms.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming on board, Gilbert, and sharing the amazing insights with us.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that has been Gilbert Mosonye. He is a teacher at Nairobi Upper Hill Academy, and we've been talking about learner safety on the backdrop on what has been happening in the country with the outbreaks of fire in schools, which is quite concerning. I hope we've taken a few things from that. Yeah. Now we're going to take a short break, and then Brian Sako will be coming with yet another interesting conversation, and this is on men's fashion. What are those things that men should look out for in their fashion? So talk to us, #Y in the morning at Y254 channel. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back.